and maybe even having garage parties with neighbors. The drink of this spring and summer isn't your typical seltzer. It's drinkable Delta 8. Yep, Trek CBD has drinkable Delta 8 seltzers with mango and lime flavors for 4-packs and 12-packs, coming in a variety of mango, watermelon, lime, and berry. They also have hemp-derived Delta 9 syrups to put in your beverages, and as always, the excellent Delta 8 gummies. Trek CBD, CBD done right.
You know that feeling after a good, hearty meal? The worries of the world just slip away. Time slows down. Nothing but good times and good company. That's what you get with Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Mary Ellen's does food right, with a menu that includes smoked wings, pulled pork, brisket, catfish. And don't sleep on their sides, shrimp and grits, collard greens, baked beans. It's food that makes your heart happy. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul, just east of 27th and Pineland. Let them fix you a plate.
Brown Shoe Fit has all types of shoes for you to excel this summer. Check out their new Keen and Tiva brand sandals for hiking and Olukai sandals for sitting by the pool. Plus, they're stocked up on Hey Dudes to catch you up on the latest shoe fashion. They also have shoes in brands like Brooks, Hoka, Merrell, On, and many more. Browns has the local professionals to get the proper fit, aided by their high-tech foot scanner by Atrex. Stop by Brown Shoe Fit today, just south of 66th and Q in Lincoln.
We stand on the shoulders of women who came before us.
Women who fought for their own financial futures.
And now it's our turn.
Join us. Visit WeSaySaveIt.org and take control of your financial future by saving for retirement.
A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Courage. I learned it from my adoptive mom. Hold my hand.
You hold my hand.
Yep, that works.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care at adoptuskids.org. You can't imagine the reward. Brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. That works.
I'm going to teach you how to dance. First, spread your feet apart. Then, pump your knee. Nod your head. Shake your hips. And bite your lip ever so slightly. Now, with one hand in the air, point at people with the other hand. I call that the rock star.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids.
Now, make a face like it just smells something bad.
Visit fatherhood.gov.
Yep.
Due by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
This message is for Karina, our mom who finished her high school diploma at age 28. Hi, Meredith and Nicholas. Congratulations on getting your diploma. You worked so hard and have taught us so much. We love you.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Life is tough. The stress and despair can sometimes feel like it's too much, but you aren't alone. There is help, hope, and healing in the Heartland for anyone struggling with suicidal thoughts. For free crisis support, call 1-800-273-8255. We'll get through this together. Nebraska needs you. The Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services, helping people like you live better lives.
Aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I am a camping influencer.
You know what? I'll bet you $5. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again. Then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Hit it.
Welcome to Riffin with Raff and AD. Coming to you live from the Copple Chevrolet GMC studios. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Now here's former Huskers, Chris Raff and Aaron Davis.
All right. We're back again. Riffin with Raff and AD. It's Wednesday night. What's up, AD?
Brother, I'm tired. A lot tired. I know that doesn't make sense, but I'm a lot tired. But, you know, here we are. We're doing our thing, man. Raff, it has been, first of all, man, how you doing, man? You're out in North Platte at Nebraska Land Days, out in the real city of Nebraska, out in western Nebraska. And the thing about blows me when I say western Nebraska, I'm going to say that with a disclaimer, Monty. people in the eastern part of the state, when they're from like Omaha or Lincoln, they go to Grand Island like, man, that's Western Nebraska. We're in the Sand Hills. I'm like, no, you're not. You're not even close to the Sand Hills yet. What are you talking about? Rav, you are in North Platte. We had a chance to golf with you on Father's Day. And again, man, I appreciate that. You know, that was a hard day for me with my pops, but it was great to have you out there with my boys, of course. We played at Wild Horse Golf Course. Big shout out to Wild Horse. Thank you for the hospitality and the great time. Dude, how has your past week been out there in North Platte at Nebraska Land Days, man?
Well, started out first by saying we won on Sunday. So
yes, we did.
Props to the old guys again.
Raff, we just didn't win. That was a beatdown, bro. Seriously, we beat them like they stole something.
Yeah, your boy Keenan's like Brett Favre. He goes into retirement at least 5 times every 18 holes.
No, around, bro. Not 18 holes, or like every 9 holes. He's like, man, I'm done with this game. I'm done.
He's retiring.
He'll shoot 76 and then shoot 96. Be like, I'm done with this game. I'm sick of it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Tell us about North Platte, though, man. Like, what are you doing out there? Tell our listeners, and maybe some of our listeners are out in the North Platte, maybe Gothenburg, Ogallala area. What are you doing out there in North Platte right now?
So what we're doing is I am the events coordinator for the Nebraska Lottery. So we're out in North Platte selling lottery and scratch tickets, having contests, stuff like that. My workers, John and Allison, we're going on 8 days straight North Platte. We got another 3 more days of work, and then we'll head back on Sunday morning.
So Sunday morning, you are back to the east side of Nebraska.
Yep.
I love
it.
Yeah. I love it. You know, Raff, I'll tell you what, man, since we've seen each other on Sunday, so my day started out, to the listeners out there, those of you who travel, I get it, because it has been a crazy 3 days of travel for me. So I was supposed to fly out at 6:30, and that flight kept getting bumped and bumped and bumped and bumped, and finally they canceled it. And then they gave me a 12:50 p.m. flight out of Omaha on Monday to Charlotte to Pensacola Beach. I spoke yesterday morning in Orange Beach, Alabama, for the Alabama School Superintendents Association. Had a great time out there. Actually went to the beach for a little bit, hung out there, but a great time out there. But coming back was a nightmare. Everybody's short staff, everybody's short supply chain, blockchain has hit everybody. So I was supposed to be back last night. I landed in Houston the same time that my flight was taking out of Houston. So I got to my hotel last night about 11:45 in Houston. I had to be up at 2:30, 2:45 to catch a 3 a.m. shuttle. To catch a 5 a.m. flight this morning. I get back, and as many of you don't know, none of you know actually, Raff knows and Monty knows, who are our guest tonight, my truck started having some issues, so I get back and had to have my truck towed all the way back from Omaha Airport to the Lincoln Airport. So I was at the Omaha Airport, Harrison, for about 3 hours this morning. But you know what, man? I'm going to say this, and Raff, you know I always get emotional on things like this. In the big scheme of things, who cares? So to our listeners that are listening tonight, because I know it's a Wednesday night, some of you may have had a bad half week so far. Things may be trying, maybe be physical, financial, something with a family member, etc. But folks, if you're listening to this right now, that means you are still here. That's a good thing. So even as I sat in the airport this morning with my feet kicked up at 3:20 a.m. and the security didn't open until 4, I'm thinking, you know what, AD, big deal. There are people that are dealing with much more serious stuff than I am. It was a minor inconvenience. So what I want to encourage our listeners to think about tonight, think about your minor inconveniences. Is it really that big of a deal? Yes, it's inconvenient. Yes, it's uncomfortable at times, but it's a minor inconvenience. Am I tired because of 2 hours and 15 minutes of sleep? Hence why, Raff, you never see me knocking out Mountain Dew kickstarts, which I am going to drink tonight. Yes, but big deal, because there were folks who had plans this morning. There were folks who had their clothes laid out, a schedule, etc., but they didn't open their eyes. So if you're listening to this right now, you're pretty fortunate, you're pretty blessed, you're still here. And that means you got a chance. And that's all we want, is a chance. All right? That's all we want. So, Raff, even as you're biting the knuckles and saying, North Platte for another 5 days, all good, baby. All good. You handled it like a champ, brother. You handled it like a champ. Raff, what do we got tonight, baby? What do we got?
Oh boy, tonight we got the legend of Brady, Nebraska, Monty Kratzenstein with us tonight.
And Raff,
I'm excited.
Yes, and tell me this, Raff. Tell me this. What did Coach Brown say about Monty? So it's not just me. I'm not just trying to blow you up, Monty, Big Husker bro. What did Coach Brown say about Monty? When we had Coach Brown on the air a few months back.
All right. So I asked Coach Brown, I said, Coach Brown, who had the best hands of any receiver tight end at the university while he was coaching down there? I fully expected him to say Johnny Mitchell. And he pulls out Monty Kratzenstein. And I'm like, heck yeah. I was like, that was awesome.
You were like, who? That's what you did.
No. I knew. I was like, but it was like, for me, it was wild because you think of every single receiver that he coached, Abdul Muhammad, Clester Johnson, the great number 83, Aaron Davis.
Scout team All-American. That was with me, but go ahead.
and Monty. I mean, that is a huge compliment. I mean, that's awesome.
It is. Monty, first of all, folks, Monty Kratzenstein. Monty, your last year was 89 at Nebraska.
Yes, sir.
1989. And folks, Monty is a very humble man. And I want to get in this. Monty, come up from Brady, Nebraska. Growing up there, what was your aspirations growing up there in Brady, Nebraska? Population what at that time?
300.
Okay, think about that. Folks, he said 300, not 3,000.
Hey, I got more, man.
You got more?
I got more. I got better than that. You ever heard of a one-room schoolhouse?
Monty, you joking, bro.
No. Listen.
Harris is going, are you serious, dude?
Listen, we're good. First of all, thank you for having me on. This is an absolute pleasure. I haven't met Raff face to face. Look forward to that. We will do that. AD,
we want to get his face on there because I'm looking on the camera right now. We want to make sure we got Monty's face.
Yeah, you just want to swing that camera to the other side of you.
Where's my camera?
Or excuse me, your microphone. My bad.
There we go. Swing it back towards me. Towards me.
Or just swing it to the other side of your face.
Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, we gotta get that flying grill in there, man. Yeah. There we go, Monty. There we go. Full Monty, baby.
Full Monty. Face for I always told us had a face for radio, and I didn't know there was anything involved in this. All right,
there we go. That's perfect right there.
All right, first of all, I want to thank you guys because this show has been great. I podcast, listen to this show, stream it, and you guys have had some great guests. You have some real talk. That first 30 seconds or minute that you talked about today, that's classic AD.
Yes, sir.
And I appreciate that. We'll get into deeper stuff than that as we go on. But I appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit about things that I'm involved in, but more importantly, just talk and it's a blast. So mentioned Brady, Nebraska, fascinating deal. I grew up on a little farm and ranch out north of Brady. Brady was an address, but I lived out in the country. Yeah. And I went to a one-room schoolhouse until I was I went through 8th grade. One-room schoolhouse. There was 80 there, Chris. There's 12 people in my school, 3 people in my class. So I was 2 people away from being valedictorian. I mean. And seriously, grew up in that place, and that's just what you did. And Brady didn't have he had a grocery store, but Brady was 8-9 miles away. Yeah, Gothenburg. Ended up meeting some people through like Little League baseball or whatnot, and went up going to high school in Gothenburg even before there was open enrollment. I was really my dad went to Brady. He was a great basketball player at Brady High in the 1950s. And my sister is actually a senior at Brady High, and I wanted to go to Gothenburg. And the reason I wanted to go to Gothenburg was there was more opportunity. It was a Class B school, and there's more opportunity. And then there's a lot of guys that were great athletes in that class, and there's just more opportunity to do that sort of thing. So I drove. You talked about playing at Wild Horse last Sunday. I drove by that tract of land every day, twice a day, going in and out to high school, and never in my life imagined there'd be a world-class golf course out there. It's just pasture. Yeah. And when I say I'm from Brady / Gothenburg, that's the first thing people all around talk about is they talk about Wild Horse.
Folks, we're gonna be back here with Monty and talking. We're gonna take a little bit of break, pay our bills, but what he talked about right there, you want to listen to this because he's seen the transformation of that area. He also seen the transformation of the tight end, the passing game in Nebraska. We'll be right back with Raff and AD. 90.7 The Ticket. We'll be right back.
Hey, sports fans. Rico here with HIS Auto Care 70th and Van Dorn. Carfax recently awarded us as a top-rated auto service center for 2020, and Lincoln Choice Awards voted us as the 2021 top independent auto repair center. Call us at 402-488-8934 for superior service bumper to bumper. Mention this ad and get 7% off. Doesn't get any better than that. Rico for his Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Charlie Stone, and joining me is Andy Goodyear, General Manager of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, how are you?
I'm doing great, Charlie.
Andy, I know you have hundreds of new Hondas on the way, but let's talk about your pre-owned inventory.
You know, everyone in Lincoln and surrounding areas know we sell new and pre-owned Hondas, but a lot of people I talk to don't realize that we sell all makes and models.
All makes of imports and domestics, right?
Yes. In addition to Hondas, I mean, we sell Toyotas, Nissans, Volkswagens, Kias, domestic vehicles, and we have more than 125 to choose from right now, with fresh trade-ins arriving daily.
Andy, I hear about many people choosing certified pre-owned.
They are, Charlie. It's like buying a new car with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty and a special low-rate financing. Best of all, the customer can take immediate delivery.
Come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Landmark Implement, your local John Deere dealership, is searching for mechanics of all skill levels to grow with us. Landmark offers a competitive wage, full benefits package, along with paid time off within just 60 days of employment, as well as a 401k and a boot and clothing allowance. Interested in becoming a part of the Landmark difference? Apply now at landmarkimp.com/careers or contact Deanna 402-310-7561 or email careers@landmarkimp.com. That's landmarkimp.com. Landmark Implement is an equal opportunity employer.
Need service on your home air conditioner? Call the company Lincoln has counted on since 1952, Bryant Air Conditioning and Heating. No matter what brand you have, when you need service, you want Bryant's experienced pros working for you. Friendly NATE certified technicians with the tools, training, and technology to restore your comfort quickly. No matter what brand, when you need service, just call Bryant. 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
You know you want that smoky, tangy, sweet, and spicy sauced and tossed Wingstop. But you just brought a haul of groceries home from the store. It's cool. No one expects you to shop and cook in the same day. So let the flavor experts at Wingstop hook you up with mouth-watering wings, crispy tenders and thighs, fries and sides delivered to your door. You can always cook tomorrow. That's why the fridge was invented. Get it delivered at wingstop.com.
Order your Wingstop online at 28th and Superior, 50th and O Street, and 29th and Pine Lake.
Tune in every Monday morning throughout the summer at 6:45 a.m. for golf course reviews on the Nebraska Golf Passport Early Break Golf Tour with Jake Sorensen and Steve Sipple on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Mike Schaefer here for Trek CBD. Springtime is here, and that means you're outside more in nice weather and maybe even having garage parties with neighbors. The drink of this spring and summer isn't your typical seltzer. It's drinkable Delta 8. Yep, Trek CBD has drinkable Delta 8 seltzers with mango and lime flavors for 4-packs and 12-packs, coming in a variety of mango, watermelon, lime, and berry. They also have hemp-derived Delta 9 syrups to put in your beverages, and as always, the excellent Delta 8 gummies. Trek CBD, CBD done right.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Now back to Riffin with Raff and AD on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, we're back again. It's Wednesday night. It's Riffin with Raff and AD, the quickest 2 hours of the week. We're here with former Husker tight end Monty Kratzenstein. Monty, I got to ask the question: who was the better tight end, you or Jay Novacek?
Oh, you went there.
No, there isn't even a close. First of all, I will go to my grave saying that Jay Novacek is in the top 10 all-time athletes in Nebraska high school history. Period. And I'll say that because not just his tight end prowess, and he'll be in the ring of honor for the Dallas Cowboys, but because he was an Olympic tryout decathlete. He was an All-American tight end at Wyoming, but he won the conference in the decathlon. He qualified for Olympic trials in the decathlon. The guy was an unbelievable athlete. He's amazing. He's one of my heroes, one of my mentors.
Monty, explain to Harrison who, like I said, he's young enough to be our son. Explain who Jay Novacek is.
Well, the Novacek family is kind of legendary in Gothenburg. His dad, J.P. Novacek, was our high school football coach there for years, coaching the Shrine Bowl.
Coached me in the Shrine Bowl.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, so I got stories.
Oh, yeah.
You got stories too. What a character, just a character. But Jay was 5 years older than me, and when you're in eighth grade, how you just idolize guys, just idolize guys. And he had a class of guys there at Gothenburg High School that were just super guys. We just idolized him. And Jay was kind enough. I mean, he'd come back to Gothenburg and work out. And his dad did keys to the weight room. He'd give us the keys to the weight room because his younger brother, Bump
Novacek,
Novacek, was in my class. So that was one of the greatest things about my high school career, was because nobody paid any attention to me because Bump was in the class. I mean, and Bump was a tremendous. I mean, he was one of the best athletes in the state of Nebraska, the first 16-foot pole vaulter in Nebraska history. And he weighed about 215 pounds, pole vault, 16 feet. Just a tremendous athlete. He was nominated for Athlete of the Year in the state of Nebraska. Unfortunately, his college career didn't turn out. He came to Nebraska. He was a scholarship player at Nebraska, and I was the walk-on tight end at Nebraska. They moved him to tight end, and that was a kind of an awkward, kind of a tough situation for both of us because we were pretty good friends, but then all of a sudden you're competing for a spot. But anyway, Jay went to Wyoming, was an All-American decathlete, had a tremendous career with the Dallas Cowboys, is still down in Dallas. I traveled to Texas a little bit for work, have hooked up with him, had dinner with him. He was my idol. And when he'd come back and work out, and even when I was at Nebraska, he was actually at St. Louis Cardinals before they moved to Arizona for a couple of years. And he came back, and he'd come back to Lincoln and work out. And we do the 7-on-7, or we do pass routes against defensive backs in the summer. And he'd come in and he taught me everything. And he just taught me. That whole Novacek family really was influential, teaching me how to work. I mean, the background of the farm ranch was the foundation, but as far as transferring that to athletics and trying to understand that, if you're not that talented, which was me, not that athletic compared to, you had to outwork people.
That's right.
And that's the way, my dad taught me that growing up. That's just what you do. You put your head down, you stay in your lane, and you just work. And then my high school influence was those guys. And then when I went to college, it was very much the same way, where there's fresh. You've had guys from my era on before, so they've described this. I don't want to bore the listeners with this, but there was 25. You had Steve Taylor on not very long ago. I was in Steve Taylor's recruiting class, tremendous recruiting class, 25 scholarship athletes, but we had 50 walk-ons.
50 walk-ons.
So there were 75 players on the freshman team, and out of those 75, I think only Leroy, Etienne, Steve Taylor, and Broderick Thomas were the only three that did not redshirt, because you played freshman ball, you went through winter conditioning, you went spring ball, and then you redshirted, and then you got done redshirting, and then maybe that third year you could maybe see the field a little bit. And and it was such a hierarchy. It was such that way. That
absolutely.
And that stuff's all gone. But what it did is it taught you so many different things. It taught you, again, head down, just grind along. You never thought about the next season. You never thought about the next time period. All you did is think about the next day and the next week. You just really, really narrowed it down. And those are things that I've carried on for my entire life as far as, you make your plan. You know, everybody says what you're going to be doing in 5 years, what you're going to be doing in 10 years. Boy, I don't know. I know what I'm doing. I know what I have planned for the next month. I know what I have planned for the next week, and I'll make my plan for tomorrow. And that all goes back to those days because you couldn't look ahead. You were just trying to survive.
Right.
You're just trying to get into that varsity locker room because you're in the North Stadium. Because you're in the North Stadium with the open toilets and the still in it. And Walt Johnson just giving you heck all the time. Love that man. Love that man. But that's what it was.
Monty, you said the next day you couldn't look too far ahead. 50 walk-ons. Brady, Nebraska, walk on like myself, came to Nebraska, and you're looking at all these other guys who were not only just all states or played in the Shrine Bowl in their prospective states, they were all Americans, all region, USA Today guys. What was the mindset that you brought into Nebraska, knowing that, you know what, I'm going against some guy? Well, Bump, one of your best buddies.
Yeah.
Bump Novacek, scholarship guy. What was your mindset coming in?
Just wondering if I could compete, just wondering if I could make the team, wondering, and again, I'll never forget these stories. Some of my best friends, just like you, some of my best friends today are those walk-on guys that I hung around with, and we were sitting there, getting ready for our first, because then you played the Shrine Bowl, you had one day off, and then you took your physical and you got ready and you went testing.
That's right.
And I was there watching freshman testing, watching some of these dudes, and you can imagine, Broderick comes in, Steve Taylor comes in, Leroy Etienne comes in, Richard Bell,
Lawrence Pete.
Lawrence Pete but then they were the older guys there, right? They're the older guys.
Right.
And so then you weren't even worried about the older guys. All you were worried about is that group of freshmen. I saw that group of freshmen testing out, and I'm like, I there's no way I can ever compete. So all I said was I just gotta survive. I just gotta try to make the team, make the freshman team. I didn't know they didn't cut people at that time. I mean, but that was my mentality. Just don't get cut.
Right.
And then once you get involved in it, you're like, hey, I can kind of compete a little bit here. I'm going to see if I can start some games at the freshman level. And then you get to do that. And I'll never forget this as long as I live, myself and Brad Ferguson, who I don't know if you know Fergie. Fergie is Barry Alvarez's son-in-law.
I was going to say, exactly. I don't know him, I know the name.
Jake Ferguson, the tight end that got drafted and so Fergie was best man in our wedding. And and so we played in the Shrine Bowl together. He's from Shadron, Nebraska. And I remember us.
That's the Panhandle.
Listen, there were twice, I know for sure, we would test out after, and I can't remember. I know it was after our freshman year. You test out. Fergie and I cleaned out our lockers, put them in the mesh bag, and took them back to the dorms because we knew we were getting cut.
Are you serious?
Oh. We're walking right by Buck Belcher. We're walking back to Harper Schramm Smith, and we got our bags over
the mesh bag. I can see it right now
over our shoulder, and people were driving by. You know how they drive by, going, they're driving by. What are you guys doing? And they said, hey, listen, we're getting cut, and we're taking all this stuff with us. They are not.
We're getting something out of this deal.
And for whatever reason, every time we tested out, because we weren't guys that were going to test out very well, every time we test out, we were just sure we're going to get cut. But it was that survivalist mentality. That's just what you had. And then pretty soon you got it figured out. You made it survive through your redshirt year, and then your third year, you got a chance to play a little bit, and then also you're like, hey man, I can play this game. And then your junior year, and it's just that hierarchy of keep going up. And they would recruit All-Americans, and sometimes guys would get hurt. Sometimes they would never go to class, get it figured out.
Right.
It was just this thing, and you just put your head down, and you just worked, and you just said, I'm gonna see how this turns out.
Raff, go ahead, brother.
I was just going to ask you, before you got Nebraska, was there any other colleges you were looking at, or was it your dream to walk on at Nebraska? I mean, is that what you were dead set on? Because I know back in that time it was Nebraska. I wasn't sure if there's anything else.
It was strange because I never ever thought I was going to be good enough to play at Nebraska. So it wasn't a dream of mine. It was just one of those things. I mean, I grew up as a fan. I can tell you where I was in 1978 when Derry Nelson sacked Phil Bradley, and I listened to Kent Pavelka. I can tell you where I was. I can tell you the very first game I remember watching when I was 5 years old was Game of Century and Jeff Kinney.
Wow.
I mean, I can remember that. I couldn't remember a game before that. Yesterday, Jeff Kinney calls my cell phone about a golf tournament, and I look at that and I'm like,
this is Jeff Kinney.
but so Raff, to answer your question, I didn't have it. I liked basketball better than football. I maybe could have played in the GPAC, maybe basketball. I never really thought about it. Wyoming, I went out there to football camp because of Jay Novacek, and they wanted me to walk on. I got down the last 2 weeks. They were talking scholarship. They got down the last 2 weeks, and they took a kid from Denver instead of me, and they said, we'd love you to walk on. And JP Novacek, our coach.
Yeah.
I didn't know this at the time, but there was a lot of GPAC schools and different smaller schools that were sending letters. And at that time, they'd send it to your head coach, and then he would during weight training, he'd hand you a letter.
Right.
You know, I knew this because of all the letters that Bump got. I didn't know it from the letters I got. but I you know, and I found out later on that he was telling these coaches, and I don't think Monty's really interested. Yeah. And I never had a chance to be interested because he was like, I think he can probably walk on. I think he probably play at Nebraska, and he knew his son was going to Nebraska, and he thought that'd be a good deal. And he thought for some reason he saw in me, and he had the ability to, see that maybe I could play there. I never thought I could. So there was no recruiting cycle. There was no a bunch of official visits. It was just, hey, John Melton, remember John Melton?
Coach Melton,
John Melton,
coach.
John Melton coming.
God rest his soul.
Absolutely, come and it said, hey, Monty, I really think I'd like you to, maybe you can come walk on. I think you can maybe play here. And him saying that was like a scholarship offer to me.
Absolutely.
My parents, were very supportive, and they allowed me to, walk on. And at that time, the scholarship, the tuition wasn't nearly as much as it is now,
right.
but we had saved enough money to
feasible
pay for that. Yeah. So and then when I earned a scholarship, I think right before at the middle of my junior year, I earned a scholarship. It was like the biggest thing because get that scholarship and it's like, hey, this is working. That's all paid off.
Monty, you mentioned several things during your talk right there. You mentioned just the fact that work ethic. You mentioned the fact that someone saw something you didn't maybe see in yourself and Coach Novacek.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that scholarship, just walking on was just as good as scholarship to you. Where did that mindset come from? You mentioned your father, hard work ethic, etc. Why do you think it's important for the walk-on program even now as we see it? Now, you think about back then, you said the number of scholarship players, but 50 walk-ons. Why do you think that's such an integral part of the history of Nebraska football and how that can still be an important part of Nebraska football?
Well, the walk-on thing is all about what I just described. It's about work ethic. It's about, having a goal and it's about culture. And there will always be, and I get on different shows and I do some different things, and sometimes culture gets overused and sometimes it gets used and people kind of roll their eyes. Cultures are such a real thing. It is such a real thing. And I am just convinced that you have to have those walk-ons to establish the culture. There was no doubt in my mind that I was given just a fair chance to compete. That's right. And none of these guys were promised anything back in those days. They weren't promised a starting spot.
Right.
And if I outworked somebody, I was going to be rewarded for it. And that's a cultural thing. So what's it do for me? It makes me work harder. And I talk about this all the time with people that if you look statistically year after year after year, the number of walk-ons who have contributed has not went down.
No,
it hasn't went down. That's the quality of those walk-ons are still. Now, the depth is not as good.
Right.
In other words, a lot of those guys that were walking on during our era and before, now they're going to smaller schools. They're going to the South Dakota States. They're going to those places, and good for them. But that whole mentality of a walk-on is very, very real. I'm sitting here and I'm getting some text messages from my Lincoln people, Matt Masker just sent me a text message. Matt Masker would be a perfect example today. Matt Masker probably is not going to compete for a starting position at the University of Nebraska, but you will never find a better person. You're never going to find a better person than Masker. And he has gotten everything out of that Husker experience and that University of Nebraska experience.
Absolutely.
And that's what I think, you can always transfer somebody somewhere else.
You bet.
But if you stick something out, you squeeze everything out of it, that just means so much. And that's a perfect example.
You know what you just said with the masker. And folks, if you have questions, you want to call in, actually text line the Honda of Lincoln hotline at 402-464-5685 or the Starter Heyman text line at 402-464-5685. Raff, I use this term quite a bit. In fact, I'm getting t-shirts made up for it. And Harris, I'm gonna tell you this, and you made it you brought that point up, MK, and I call Monty Kratzenstein MK or Big Bro. I always say ring the rag. What I mean by ring the rag, ring every bit of that rag out of talent, potential, etc. Ring it out. And you're one of those guys. Mark was one of those guys. I can go on and on and on. I mean, from I Am Hip to I can just go on and on. The number of walk-ons that and just players in general. Coach Osborne created a culture of ringing the rag, getting every bit, every drop of potential out of every single player. But by the time you were done, there was nothing left because you wrung it all out.
You've heard Coach Brown talk about talent ratio.
Yes.
And that I've used that talk in so many of my discussions with people when I was a teacher, when I was a coach, when I do speeches or whatever, refereeing. I just talk about that where, the whole point being everybody's not given the same amount of talent, but it's how much talent you use. What that ratio is of the talent that you're given versus the talent that you use is what's really important. And that's not what that's not really what the world views as success.
Right.
But, if I only had maybe 80 talents compared to those guys that had 100.
Right.
But, I feel like I used 77 of those 80.
I would say 80.
So my rate.
80.
Well, Raff, you were really good about talking about my hands. You didn't talk about my legs. You didn't talk about my feet. Do you know, AD, that I think I might have some distinction. I might have been the slowest tight end to ever start games at Nebraska. No, think about that. And if Coach Brown is listening right now, he's laughing. He's laughing. $1 million hands, 10-cent feet.
But
I could not. But I just couldn't run very fast. So you had to figure out ways to get open. You had to figure out ways to make it work because God didn't give me a great speed, but He gave me the ability to do a lot of things. I kind of figured it out, and it's I joke about it, but I think I was the slowest. I mean, you look at 40 times. I think I was the slowest tight end to ever start in Nebraska. That's no joke.
And what you just, Harrison, you think about that. What he just said right there, the slowest tight end to ever play at Nebraska. The key word, play at Nebraska, and slow seems like an oxymoron, but it shows you how you maximize your abilities in those other critical areas that were important.
Well, you just figured out. You figured out with technique. You figured out with, listen, it was all about that 6-inch step and which foot you step with and where you put your hands and where you put your head, because, listen, I wasn't going to ever outrun anybody. And thank goodness that Coach Osborne's offense had the counter sweep bootleg because we hand the ball, we all hand the ball off to our eye back, and all of a sudden then you run the bootleg off that counter sweep action, and slow guy like me would get wide open, and that's just, and again, that's a analogy for a lot of other things, right? It isn't just about your pure athletic ability. You got to figure things out, and sometimes, if you're smarter than your opponent, good things happen to you.
You figure it out. Monty, let me ask you this, man. When was it? Was there a play? Was there a practice? Was there a game to when it clicked for you? They're just like, you know what? I can play with these guys.
My junior year, Todd Milliken was an all Big Eight chief, all Big Eight tight end. I played with some great guys.
Yes, you
did. Mean, some great guys. Walk-ons, All-Americans, they were great guys. But Todd Milliken was hurt a lot. Yeah. And tough guy, but he's hurt a lot. So the spring going into my junior year,
so
Todd was hurt.
Okay.
And so I got all the number one reps, and I was kind of fighting for that spot, but I got the number one reps because I was a junior, and I was the guy that was the young bucks, the William Washington, the Chris Garris weren't ready quite yet. So I got all those reps. So I'm getting all the number one reps with Bob Sledge and Andy Keeler and Steve Taylor and those guys. And And I'm telling you, Doug Glazier, it was just one of those deals where I got all the reps, and we'd be down the pit. We'd be down
the pit. We've heard the pit a lot.
We'd be doing that stuff, and as tight ends, we'd go on the edge of the pit. We'd get there, and they'd let us do some pass blocking stuff. You're laughing because we were kind of wannabes. We kind of wanted to be down there in the pit with those guys, but then when the fights started breaking out, a lot of us tight ends
out.
Where we're at.
Gotta go, Raff. Gotta go.
Yeah.
7-on-7 time.
Yeah. I'm gonna go catch some. I'm gonna work on my releases. I'm gonna go work on the stuff like that. But that was the time that spring ball, and I figured, hey, I can play this game.
Yeah.
Now I can't be a Todd Milligan, I can't be an all conference player, but as a junior, I played enough and kind of helped the young guys. William, Chris, and I were a threesome our senior year.
Yeah.
They let me start because I was a senior, but those guys, they were my guys. We each had our individual talents. We each did our own thing. We each had our plays that we specialized in, and we helped each other, and it was a brotherhood.
We're going to take a quick break, but a quick shout out to Monty's little Husker brother, William Washington. It's his birthday today. Happy birthday to William Washington.
William has never been little.
No. Let's call him William Washington.
Big Will.
Folks, we'll be back with Monty Krassenstein, former Nebraska tight end, the best hands, in the words of Coach Brown, ever played at Nebraska as far as tight end. You're riffing with Raff and AD. 93.7 The Ticket. We'll be right back.
MaxTan is celebrating 29 years with some Max-tastic birthday sales. Get 50% off unlimited tanning, sun, and spray with no contract and no sign-up. MaxTan celebrates 29 years with you with 4 Lincoln locations. Take your tan to the max at MaxTan.
You know that feeling after a good, hearty meal? The worries of the world just slip away. Time slows down. Nothing but good times and good company. That's what you get with Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Mary Ellen's does food right, with a menu that includes smoked wings, pulled pork, brisket, catfish. And don't sleep on their sides, shrimp and grits, collard greens, baked beans. It's food that makes your heart happy. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul, just east of 27th and Pineland. Let them fix you a plate.
Brown Shoe Fit has all types of shoes for you to excel this summer. Check out their new Keen and Tiva brand sandals for hiking and Olukai sandals for sitting by the pool. Plus, they're stocked up on Hey Dudes to catch you up on the latest shoe fashion. They also have shoes in brands like Brooks, Hoka, Merrell, On, and many more. Browns has the local professionals to get the proper fit, aided by their high-tech foot scanner by Atrex. Stop by Brown Shoe Fit today, just south of 66 and Q in Lincoln.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Hello, everybody. I'm Charlie Stone, and joining me is Andy Goodyear, General Manager of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, how are you?
I'm doing great, Charlie.
Andy, I know you have hundreds of new Hondas on the way, but let's talk about your pre-owned inventory.
You know, everyone in Lincoln and surrounding areas know we sell new and pre-owned Hondas, but a lot of people I talk to don't realize that we sell all makes and models.
All makes of imports and domestics, right?
Yes. In addition to Hondas, we sell Toyotas, Nissans, Volkswagens, Kias, domestic vehicles, and we have more than 125 to choose from right now, with fresh trade-ins arriving daily.
Andy, I hear about many people choosing certified pre-owned.
They are, Charlie. It's like buying a new car with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty and a special low-rate financing. Best of all, the customer can take immediate delivery.
Come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Mike Schaefer here for Trek CBD. Springtime is here, and that means you're outside more in nice weather and maybe even having garage parties with neighbors. The drink of this spring and summer isn't your typical seltzer. It's drinkable Delta 8. Yep, Trek CBD has drinkable Delta 8 seltzers with mango and lime flavors for 4-packs and 12-packs, coming in a variety of mango, watermelon, lime, and berry. They also have hemp-derived Delta 9 syrups to put in your beverages, and as always, the excellent Delta 8 gummies. Trek CBD, CBD done right.
Swing for the fences with single game tickets to see Lincoln's best lineup on and off the diamond. The Salt Dog season is stacked with reasons to spend your summer at Haymarket Park. Get a free general admission ticket when you donate 3 non-perishable food items on Triple Play Tuesdays. Eat $2 February brand dogs on Wiener Wednesdays. Specials on Thirsty Thursdays. Then win your weekend with Firework Fridays, Souvenir Saturdays, and Sunday Family Fun Days presented by Casey's. Get tickets at saltdogs.com.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Skies will gradually clear, and by later this afternoon, we'll top out near 89. A south-southeast wind at around 15. We'll see a chance of showers and thunderstorms mainly late tonight towards tomorrow morning with a low of 66. We will continue on with that chance of showers and thunderstorms tomorrow with a high of around 87. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
I grew up hearing that women are bad with money, but like many of you, I spent years paying bills, managing checking accounts, and taking care of my family. So turns out women are pretty good with money after all. And now I'm taking control of my financial future by saving for retirement. It's never too late to start, and there's a great website to help you. Check out WeSaySaveIt.org and jumpstart your retirement savings on your budget and your timeline. That's WeSaySaveIt.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Now back to Riffin with Raff and AD on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, we're back again. It's Riffin with Raff and AD. It's Wednesday night. It's the quickest 2 hours of the week. We're here with Monty Kratzenstein. Monty, I got kind of a two-part question for you.
Hit me.
All right. First part, what was your favorite game that you played at Nebraska?
Mm-hmm.
Second, who is the best player that you played against at Nebraska? Either on the same side with you or an opponent.
I don't know if you want to say best game or favorite game. Probably the best game I played at, we lost, which is a hard thing to say. My senior year, we played out in Colorado.
Oh, man.
And it was 2 versus 3. They may or may not had a clipping penalty somewhere along the line. First play of the game, Brian Carpenter caught a little screen pass and scored and hyperventilated and was not worth a darn the rest of the game because he couldn't catch his breath in the mountain air. It was beer being poured on us. Almost got hit by a buffalo during pregame. It was the craziest game, and we got beat. It was. I don't know if that was my favorite, but that was one of the most memorable. My favorite game was no doubt the year before in '88. It was Barry Switzer's last game. We finally beat him down in Norman in the sleet, in the snow, and Steve Taylor and Ken Clark and those guys. We beat him down there 7-3. And it was Barry Switzer's last game. Ironically, it was Charles Thompson's last game as a quarterback there. He broke his leg on the last play of the game. And then how ironic is it his son will now be the quarterback at Nebraska.
Right.
It's so weird. But that win there got us to the Orange Bowl against Miami and 88. That's probably the favorite game. As far as players, you might get tired of hearing these kind of things, but games were easy compared to compared to
Harrison, you've heard that ad nauseum, haven't you? You've heard that so many times. Go ahead.
I remember being sick to my stomach during stretching because knowing that we were going to do one-on-ones with Coach Sam's defensive ends, and I was going to probably get lined up against Broderick, and he was probably going. And you're just like, don't embarrass me, Broderick. I mean, it was just one of those deals where Broderick and all those guys, Mike Kroll and Jeff Mills and those guys. Neil Smith, and I was on the scout team, and Danny Noonan played, and Chris Spockman and those guys. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. Canavis McGee and Alfred Williams, and again in Colorado, were something else. Yeah. But games were gravy. I never got nervous for games because we were so well prepared. It was just like you just do whatever you can do in games, and it's going to be fine. Practices were way different. I remember spring practices in those days, again, here I go saying those days.
No, I love it.
It was all full pads, always one-on-one, always live goal line, always ones versus ones. And that was when you figured out if you could play. That was when you earned your spot. I talked about your sophomore year. If I I can just be the third or fourth tight end, then I can maybe make the travel squad.
Right.
And that was done during spring ball and fall camp.
That's right.
And long answer to a short question, Raff, but those are the kind of things I think about the players that I got to practice against every single day. You either got better or you got out. Got out. You know, that's just the way it was, because I was never ever good enough to sit out of practice and you know, with a little bit of ache and a pain.
Right.
You know, there were some guys that could do it, and
Right.
they were good enough players that they could. I had to have every single rep. I had to be there every single time. I had to make sure there was a reason for Coach Brown not to substitute for me.
Right.
And that's what that whole thing was all about.
And that's a mindset. That's a mindset type thing right there. You know, Monty, you've done a lot of things. You've coached sports, you've ref sports, you're a parent, you've seen all these things. What are you doing now, in particular, the Nebraska Greats? Tell us about the Nebraska Greats and why you got involved in Nebraska Greats.
Well, there are so many great foundations and great charities out there. And I cannot look you in the eye and tell you that the Nebraska Greats Foundation is the absolute best one. I can't tell you it's the most meaningful one. I know what it means to me.
Right.
And what it means to me is the Nebraska. I got involved in Nebraska Greats because Ken Clark passed away.
Yeah.
My teammate, my running back, he passed away, and in the Nebraska Greats, I didn't even know at the time, but they helped with some funeral expenses for him.
Yeah.
And then later on, you had Willie Miller on here.
Willie
before.
Miller. Yeah,
I was
absolutely.
Willie Miller's 8th grade English teacher.
I did not realize that.
Wow.
Will, I was a teacher and a coach for 9 years, and I coached in Bellevue. I was at Bellevue East, but in middle school, I was the 8th grade English teacher. And Willie was going through his stuff, and you know, tremendous story, inspirational, and the Nebraska Greats helped him. And I was like, you know, those things made it real personal to me. So those of you that don't know, the Nebraska Greats Foundation is a foundation that's out there that help former letter winners from not just the University of Nebraska, but
All
from
Nebraska.
any college, four-year college in Nebraska. And if they're having medical troubles, they can't pay for medication, they're having some difficulty, they're just going through some tough things, the Nebraska Greats Foundation will, if they qualify, will help them out along the way. And I do it because of my personal connection, but I also do it because of the people that are on that board of directors. I've gotten to meet some incredible people along the way, Eric Crouch and Johnny Dorn and Jim Rose and Jerry Murtaugh, who started the thing, and Chris Brown has joined our board, and Big Brett Wetton from Kearney.
Awesome.
Those
Big
guys,
Brett. Absolutely.
those guys are great people. They got huge hearts, but they also are great, savvy business people. They're doing things the right way. And so I've been involved. I've been on that board of directors for about four years, maybe longer than that. We have a couple events.
Tell us about those.
You've been part of those.
Yes.
I get a little bit more involved in the central Nebraska, not Western Nebraska.
Right.
It's Grand Isle. And so we go to Central Nebraska. Grand Isle has been a great town for hospitality, and we have an event out there this year. It's July 21st. It's Nebraska Greats Golf Jamboree Banquet. Jason Peter, who will tell some stories, and there's going to be some focus on recipients. There will be silent auction items there. You can buy tables. There'll be just storytelling, just a great networking opportunity, and we'll put a spotlight right on those recipients and where that money goes, and also to get our brand out there, because we need more recipients.
You bet.
It's a strange thing, AD. When you have a foundation and there's a lot of business that goes into that, and you know, you raise money and you have this money available, and then you're like, hey, we need to get the word out. Athletes are so proud. They don't want to ask for help.
Right.
And this is for female athletes. It's for male athletes. I don't care if you're from Chadron State, York College, Peru State, former Dana College. You know, we have a list. You go onto our website, Nebraska Greats, Google Nebraska Greats Foundation. You can see their stories. Josh Jones from the University of Creighton, one of our recipients, great speaker, great individual. We want and need more recipients. We need people like yourself to say, hey, Monty, I know so-and-so. He's probably not going to call you, but I know he's going through some tough times. I know he's having trouble paying for this. He's got some medical issues, and I can get him in touch with the right people and get him some help.
Absolutely.
And that's really what it's all about. after the 21st, after that dinner, the next day is the fun day. July 22nd, we're going to have the golf jamboree. You've been part of that.
Yes.
You've been part of that before.
Yes. Tell us about that, the golf jamboree.
It's a chance for paying foursomes to be captained by a former athlete. There's fivesomes. You go out, and it's just really a great chance to hear stories, talk about things, get to know these guys firsthand. What better to get to know people in a 4-hour round of golf? That list of people that are participating, Jeff Kinney, Eric Crouch, Brendan Stye. We got some volleyball representation this year, which is awesome. Brooke Delano, Mandy Monson, John Baylor is going to be there. Boyd Epley, Steve Taylor, Jay Moore, Jared Crick, Joe Acker's going to come. Eric Strickland said he was coming, which is great. John Higgins, the Final Four basketball official, he's going to come out. Travis Vokalek, Spencer Long. We've just got a bunch of guys that are donating their time to spend some time with some paying foursomes. And so, again, we would really like to fill up that tournament. We will fill it up with people. We've got some great sponsors, and we just want to spotlight on this foundation, what we do, and try to find some more recipients.
Muncie, what about as far as maybe they can't do the golf, but what about the tables? If they want to buy tables the night before, how would they go about doing the tables? Let's say they're not golfers, but they still want to support the Nebraska Greats Foundation. How would they go about that? Getting tables?
I really tried to lean on some of my corporate partners, some of my business partners, some of my customers, because again, you can go nebraskagreats.com, just Google Nebraska Greats Foundation, and they'll give you an option there, and you can buy a table, and you get a table for 8. Invite your customers, invite your clients. You can go ahead and invite your team, your sales team, whatever. It's a great bonding experience. You get on that website, and there'll be a lot of opportunities. You see sponsorship opportunities, as well as buying a table and being part of a great event.
Folks, we couldn't say how much we appreciate Monty. I call him Big Bro, or MK, being here tonight. As Coach Brown and a lot of his teammates, but none of his teammates would dispute the fact that the guy definitely had the greatest hands as far as tight end at Nebraska. Monty Kratzenstein, man, we want to thank you. Monty, we want to have you back on the show again, even if you call in before that Nebraska Greats, maybe a week or two, Raff. Just remind the folks about that tournament, because we are looking right now. Today was what we got, June 20th, today, 21st.
That'd be a month from today.
It's about a month. So we would love to get you back on, even just for a quick call in, just to remind the folks about how they can get involved, as far as getting a table, supporting that, because it literally changes lives. Yeah. It literally changes lives.
And thank you. You've emceed that event before.
It's been a blast.
And you
with
hear
Jim Rose.
You hear those stories of those people. And people like Bernard Day.
Yes.
He's one of those guys. He's not go out and ask for help, but he's going through some tough stuff with some surgeries and whatnot. And we helped him out.
Absolutely.
And there's certain things like that we just really want to get that word out there. And what it's like. It's a brotherhood.
It's a brotherhood.
And being part of these organizations that I've been part of, I have met you.
Yeah.
Now met Raff. I've met people from all decades, all sports. And it's just truly a brotherhood, and you feel it all the time, and it's just a great thing. So I'm proud to be part of that foundation. I'm excited as heck to be part of this show. This is a lot of fun. You guys do a lot of good work.
Thank you much.
And I appreciate it.
Thank you. Folks, that's Big Bro, Monty Kratzenstein, former Nebraska tight end. Some of the best hands ever played in Nebraska. You're with Riffin with Raff and AD. We're going to pay some bills. We'll be right back on 93.7 The Ticket. We'll talk to you in a few.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric ensures our home and office HVAC systems run smoothly throughout the year to provide maximum comfort and convenience. Routine maintenance reduced our operating costs just by improving the efficiency of our unit. Consider a maintenance agreement to ensure you too receive priority for services and scheduling. This helps meet manufacturer warranty requirements. Action delivers honest quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
Spring is here. Are you giving your yard the best chance at being healthy and green? Call Penner Sprinkler and Lawn to get your sprinklers ready to go for the season if they haven't been working properly. They're also scheduling installs for new sprinkler systems if you don't have one. So make sure you contact them early to get a bid as soon as possible. Plus, they're your one place to go for 5-step fertilizer and pesticide application and lawn aeration. Call Penner Sprinkler and Lawn today at 402-413-1215.
Bagels & Joe is in full summer mode. They'll add cold foam to the top of any iced coffee. Plus, they now have a Joe Coffee Club. Get unlimited drip coffee for just $8.95 per month. And don't forget their delicious breakfast burritos and sandwiches. Bagels and Joe, 4 Lincoln locations.
Please enjoy these next few moments of relaxation from Scott and Greg at Mendoza Family Insurance. If you would like to feel this relaxed about your home, auto, business, life, or commercial property insurance, please give Scott or Greg a call today at Mendoza Family Insurance.
You know you want that smoky, tangy, sweet, and spicy sauced and tossed Wingstop, but you just brought a haul of groceries home from the store. It's cool. No one expects you to shop and cook in the same day. So let the flavor experts at Wingstop hook you up with mouth-watering wings, crispy tenders and thighs, fries and sides delivered to your door. You can always cook tomorrow. That's why the fridge was invented. Get it delivered at wingstop.com.
Order your Wingstop online at 28th and Superior, 50th and O Street, and 29th and Pine Lake.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Let's do it. Let's get away. Let's go outside, cast a line, and reel in good times with our family and friends. Get a little peace, quiet, and relaxation, and make some memories that will last a lifetime. Let's do it. Let's Fish Nebraska. Start planning your fishing trip today at letsfishnebraska.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Get a lot of advice about self-care these days, but one of the most important self-care steps we can take is making sure we're financially secure later in life. For small steps you can take to save for retirement, visit WeSaySaveIt.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Welcome to Riffin with Raff and AD. Coming to you live from the Coppell Chevrolet GMC studios. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Now here's former Huskers, Chris Raff and Aaron Davis.
Think I was on mute. We're back. My bad. Riffin with Raff and AD. It's Wednesday night, the quickest 2 hours in sports. Big thanks to Monty for joining us tonight. Just an awesome dude.
You there, Raffy?
Yep. Can you hear me?
I do now. I was looking at the monitor and I just heard your lips move. I just seen your lips moving, but nothing was coming out. But I'm like, there you go, big dog. There you go, big dog.
Yep. No,
Raff, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Monty, just awesome guy. Just tremendous, top notch. Yeah, just proud to call him a friend, brother. Awesome.
You know, you think about there's a number of things that Monty said tonight, folks. I want you to think about this. Regardless if you're like a football fan, basketball fan, a sports fanatic, there are a number of things he said tonight that just resonated in that it just proves to life type things. You know, you just stick to itiveness. You just stick to it. You don't call it in. You know, you go out there and you compete every day, whether it's at the job, whether it's at school, regardless of what it is, you just compete. And that's why Nebraska during those times, and I still see it now, as we'll segue into that here in a bit, those things are there, man. It's just, it's a mindset. And like he said, he goes, the slowest tight end, he goes, I think I was the slowest tight end to ever play at Nebraska. But the key thing, slowest, but he played. Now, that might sound like an oxymoron to a lot of people to say slow and play, but it was a mindset type thing. And that was something he learned from growing up, from his father, growing up in Western Nebraska, just in Nebraska in general, regardless of where you grew up at, that's a mindset thing. And so Monty, in my opinion, is the epitome of what makes and what made Nebraska great, because you had a bunch of guys, and bringing the walk-on program, you had a bunch of guys, and Raph, you've heard me say this ad nauseum for a number of years. I don't play at Nebraska. I play for Nebraska. If you're playing at a place, that's different. But when you play for a place, that means you're playing for something bigger than yourself. That means you're playing for the guys, all the guys that played before you, the ones that are there now, and you're setting a precedent for the guys that come after you. I always think about it like this. Me and you both, and Harris, you may have the same thing. You have pictures of your grandparents. You've heard stories about your grandfather, your grandmother, uncles, etc. And when we walked down the halls at the stadium back in those days, and you've seen all the pictures of all those All-Americans, and we would see them come back to practice, etc., and we heard the stories of how they carry the tradition, how they pass the torch, you didn't want to let them down because the lineage was there. The lineage was there. And so when I see pictures of my grandfather, and now for me, my parents, my mom, my dad, my great-grandfathers, I'm thinking, man, am I carrying the torch? Am I upholding the standard that they set for us? Am I going to continue with the hard work and the precedents they set? That means a lot. And what Monty brought up again was culture. And I honestly believe this. When you don't know your history, you don't appreciate your history. When you don't know your history, you don't appreciate your history. Man, when guys got their black shirts back in the day, dude, there'd be dudes crying, Raph. I mean, because it meant that much. Because they understood the price that those that came before them paid to get those black shirts. They understood the story of how the black shirts came, that the genesis of the black shirts, when Coach Savani said, hey, go down to the hardware store. We want to differentiate the first team from the second team. Go get some black shirts. That's all they had left. So those black shirts, it wasn't just a quick trip to the hardware store. It meant something because that meant they paid the price all during summer conditioning, during fall ball. So when they were donned those black shirts in practice, in the lockers, it meant something. We've heard Jason Peter, Wistrom, a number of other guys that talked about those things from Baron Miles to Kenny Wilhite to Tony Veland, etc. Why those black shirts meant something. Long story short, when you don't know your history, it doesn't mean much to you. But when you know your history and you appreciate it, you play up to it. You don't want to disappoint those folks. And going from the offensive side, Monty had great points in there to where he talked about, man, we just wanted to work every day. We wanted to get the best we possibly could out of all the abilities we had. And there's something that Coach Osborne and Coach Brown would always say. And Harrison, I think this is powerful, man, because it means a lot. And I want everybody to listen to this. Championship games and big games and games in general are won in empty stadiums. Big games, all games are won in empty stadiums. What do we mean by that, folks? It means this: winter conditioning, summer conditioning, fall ball, all those things are done when there's no one in the stadium. So when there is a raucous and loud crowd come late August, September, October when it's 3rd and 1, October when you're down 14, those games, a lot of the deposits have been made already in the summer when it's empty stadiums. Like right now, when it's hot, it's muggy. The stairs, and VJ talks about this on the Captain Show all the time. When it's muggy outside, when you don't feel like it, will you do just enough on that sheet for your practice that day, for your workouts, or will you go above and beyond? Because championship games and big games are won in empty stadiums. And that's why another point that Monty brought up, Raph, he goes, games were gravy. Games were gravy because we've done it. We've seen this movie already. We've done this already outside when it was hot, when it was 100 degrees, but on the turf, many folks don't know this, but just in case you don't, it's 30 degrees hotter on the turf than the temperature states. So when it's 100 outside, a muggy days like we've had in the past number of days here, well, exception today, because it's been a little light when it's 100 degrees, well, on the turf, it's 130s, 125. But that's when championships are won. That's why Monty said that games became gravy. Raph, what are the points you get from Monty, man, during that segment?
I would have liked to have asked him, with the great hands, how, like, you're born, I think, with some ability to catch the football, but like, what did he do to go above and beyond to make those hands, some of the best in Nebraska history? I would have liked to knowing what his regimen was,
right?
Especially like during the summers and stuff like that. How many balls was he out there catching, in the summers out on in the stadium and stuff like that?
When we have him back on, hopefully we'll have him back on. We definitely want to have him back on as he talks about the Nebraska Grades Foundation. Brad, you bring up a good point because there's something that Jamie Miller, not Jamie Miller, but oh doggone, it's going to hit me second. Give me a sec. But he mentioned how you have to have a relationship with the football, whether it's a football, a basketball, a golf ball, whatever, regardless what the sport is. Jamie Williams, former tight end here at Nebraska. I remember him mentioning that to a crowd. I was with him when he was speaking, and he goes, if you want to be, or any sport, but particularly he was talking about football, if you want to be a receiver, you got to have a relationship with the ball. You got to be tossing the ball up and down, doing different drills. You have to have a relationship with the ball. You think about the greats in basketball, Magic. I'm not talking about back in the day. I'm not talking about right now. But you think about Magic, Larry Bird, for instance. And I still think Larry Bird is one of the greatest ever to play the game because, as Monty talked about, Larry wasn't gifted with the speed, the quickness, the vertical jump, etc. But the dude could shoot the lights out. And in fact, he would tell you and tell opponents what he was going to do, and he would do it. But because he had a relationship with the ball, he spent thousands and thousands of hours with that basketball. You look at a guy like Monty, bring it back to your point, Raff. How did you were given a bit of God-given ability and talent. How did you maximize that talent? How did you get the best out of it? How did you wring the rag, as I always like to say? And Raff, you always say, what's your favorite saying, man, that you brought up with the coach that you heard from Georgia Tech talk about? Are you what? Are you what? Share that.
Either you're hungry or you're starving.
What's the difference?
If you're hungry, you can go to bed hungry. You'll be fine. Get up the next morning and have breakfast. If you're starving, you got to go out and get it right away. You got to make it happen. So
you will find food.
I just keep on thinking, I just want Nebraska football to be starving next year. I'm starving to win, not hungry to win. I want them starving. And by the way, Monty did text in. He must still be listening. Thousands of reps, he said. Thousands of reps. Him and Jay Novacek. Thousands of reps.
Raph, when you think about that for a second, because last week we had the privilege of having Chancellor. We were at what's it called? Shag Dak? No, Dak Shack.
Dak Shack.
Dak Shack. I said Dak Shack. Shag Dak. That was on we were there at the studio last week. Obviously, you were there in North Platte. But I had a chance to just sit and talk with those guys, the younger guys, quite a bit. It was Noah Pola Gates, Chancellor Brewington, and Javen Wright. And, Chancellor being a tight end, and him hearing things like this and just hearing the stories of guys before him. Again, it goes back, Harrison, to that knowing your lineage. Who came before you? What's the price they paid? And I'm looking at the text right now, Raph, as well, and I appreciate you, MK, Monty. Thanks a bunch. Thousands of reps with Jay Novacek, one of the best tight ends ever played the game in the NFL. Played for years for St. Louis, the old St. Louis Cardinals before they became the St. Louis Arizona Cardinals, and then played for years with the Cowboys. Thousands of reps, not hundreds, not tens, no, thousands of reps, catching the football over and over again. And Raph, I say this a lot. You have to become comfortable with being bored. You have to become comfortable with being bored. What do I mean by that? After about maybe the 50th catch, you're thinking, okay, this is boring. If you want to be great at something you do, in particular relating back to football right now, just sports in general, you have to be very comfortable with being bored, with the same monotonous, tedious drills over and over and over again. You bring it back to basketball. People look at, and people can say whatever they want about Curry. About Chef Curry. I call him Chef Curry. I know it's Chef, but we call him Chef Curry. Do you know how many hours that man has spent in the gym? I'm talking about from when he was a kid to where now, thousands of hours shooting shot after shot after shot after shot in empty arenas, might I add, on empty courts and basketball arenas, outside, inside, over and over and over. Now, did he inherit some pretty good genes from his dad, Dale Curry? Absolutely. But that doesn't mean anything. You have to go out and exercise those gifts. You have to go out there and not finalize, but really go out and just work on those gifts and fine tune those gifts. And let's bring it back to what Monty said: thousands of hours fine tuning, tweaking, working on it over and over again. And we've seen Chef Curry in the court now, Seth Curry and those guys. It looks so easy to him. Well, because he's been comfortable with being bored. Until you get comfortable being bored, over and over and over. I remember Raff, what Coach Brown and Coach Osborne in particular would say to us: the option in practice, you thinking there's nothing I seen that was, that was wrong with it. He would say, run it again. We're like, coach, man, like, what do you mean? Run it again. Run it again. We didn't practice until we got it right. We practiced until we couldn't get it wrong. Think about that for a second. We didn't practice until we got it right. We practiced until we couldn't get it wrong. Now, when you think about something like that, Raff, you think about that to you listeners. Think about this. When you're tying your shoe, you don't go down and tie your shoe and think about, I got to go left to right. No, you just do it because you've done it so many times, you don't get it wrong. You don't get it wrong because you've done it so many times, you don't even have to think about it. In the type of football that we're talking about Nebraska playing, we want them to play to the point to where they don't have to think about it. They've done it so many times to where you just do it to where it's just instinctual. Because if you have to think about it at this level and at this pace and at this speed, you will get your head knocked off if you have to think about anything too much longer. Raff, fill in. What you think, big dog?
I started thinking about Top Gun Maverick.
Oh,
if
one
you
of the greatest
think,
movies out. Go ahead, baby.
If you think, you're dead.
You're dead. I love it.
But it's true. It's you play faster. If you're not thinking, you play faster. If you're playing not to make mistakes, or if you're playing to make mistakes, you're playing slower.
Yep.
So I just think back to little Top Gun Maverick there, you think you're dead. You can't think. It's got to be basically instinctual.
It's got to be. It's got to be. And you brought up a great point there to where, and I love that movie. Folks, we're obviously not, promote you to go see Top Gun, but I would definitely encourage it because, Harrison, have you seen Top Gun, man?
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Oh, dude. What was your best parts? What was your favorite parts of that movie?
Honestly, towards the end, when they got to get it in a time and like no one thinks they can do it, and it just takes like one guy to like show, like, I don't want to spoil it, but it just takes one guy to show that it can be done, and then the belief starts to come in. So I don't want to spoil anything, but that was definitely the highlight for me.
I want to say to the folks out there listening, if you've seen Top Gun without giving a text or a spoiler or anything like that, give us a call at 402-464-5685, 402-464-5685. That's the Honda of Lincoln hotline, or give us a text on the Sartor Heyman text line at 402-464-5685. What was your favorite quote from Top Gun that kind of resonates to football and athletics right now? I love that one that you mentioned, Raff. That's where if you think you're dead, and the one that you mentioned out there is right as well, Harrison, because all those things are relevant to right now in sports as we talk about it. As we talk about sports, before we start talking Husker football and their second opponent of the second opponent of the season, the North Dakota Hawks. No, it's not actually Hawks. They call themselves what do they call themselves? The Fighting Hawks. North Dakota Fighting Hawks, or Rumors, or whatever the heck they call themselves.
Well, I think
it is Fighting Hawks.
Well, I think weren't they the Fighting Sioux, but they had to change their name, so now
they had to change it. Yeah, they had to change it. Yeah, they had to change it up to that. Harrison, on your show, you were talking about the basketball game as far as the finals. Raff, I'm going to get your input on this as well. I want to dive into this a few minutes before we go to our next break. Fellas, okay, I didn't have a horse in the race. I know Nick's a big Celtics fan, right?
He's Chicago Bulls guy.
Chicago Bulls. Yeah. And then Nate, which one's
Box, big Celtics.
Big Celtics. Right. And on his birthday, the night before his birthday, actually, they had won that game. They beat them. I want to talk about that, Raff. What did you see in that in that series to where you think that Golden State was able to get it done? Steve Kerr, Harris, I want to ask you this as well. What do we think about that to our listeners? If you had a horse in the race, I didn't particularly have a horse in the race. I don't have a favorite NBA team right now. I like watching it, in particular the playoffs, because I know the playoffs, after a long, grueling 82-game season, they get serious during that last couple months in there. I thought it was a heck of a tournament, a heck of a series, if you would. There's a lot of things that stick out a little bit. We want to talk about that in a bit. We got time before the break?
Yeah, we got time.
Okay, Harrison, what did you think? Because I know you were on the show talking about it before. And folks, just in case you don't know, on Wednesday nights, definitely check out Harrison at 6 to 7 o'clock as he's talking all things sports. Has a great show. Very, very well-versed on just all sports, particularly in basketball. Is great, things like that. What do you think about the playoffs in general when it came down to the finals, man?
Yeah, I'll say this. It was game 4 of the finals where Steph Curry went 0 for 9 from 3. but you had guys like Andrew Wiggins and the rest of the team, Draymond, just playing incredible help defense. You could see, like, even if your top guy wasn't there, like the rest of the team just completely picked it up. And then they won that game. And after that, it's like they got it figured out. And then they win the next one, that seals the series, and the Warriors get the win. So it was that belief, and like, even when our best guy is down, everyone else can like elevate to the next level and pick up slack. So it's just a big team thing, and show the Warriors were just way better team chemistry wise.
You know, I think also, Harrison, that's a great point. Great points, plural. It shows you that Golden State, we've been there before.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That you never seen, and I'm not saying you've seen it in Boston either, but in particular with Golden State, you didn't see the panic that was there. And I think a lot of ways, and I know you're, you know, this was a little before your time, but I know you've watched plenty of Bulls videos when Steve Kerr was a player. Steve Kerr, in my opinion, I want you to think about this point real quick, Raph. Steve Kerr reminds me a lot. His pedigree, his demeanor, his coaching style reminds me a lot of Phil Jackson. And then there were times to where you would see Boston going like on these 10, 8, 10 point, 12 point, even 14 point runs. Steve Kerr would just kind of just sit back. He never seemed flustered. So when you see that, you see a guy like Curry go 0 for 9, and you see other role players step up, Klay Thompson, even a Poole at times. A Wiggins played like he was a 10-year vet, 15-year vet in that whole series. Do you think that Kerr's presence helped that quite a bit with those guys, and that they've been there before?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Steve Kerr, that puts him at 9 rings now. He's there with Michael Jordan.
Gosh.
And now he's got 9. You got 4 more with the Warriors. So it's like you said, it's that poise, like kind of it's business, kind of like you can't get caught in the antics of the emotions.
Right.
And that's going to be big for this Husker football team. If you want to tie it into that, you just can't get caught in the antics. There's a lot of hype going into it, but it's got to be like business. You know, you got to go in there and expect you're going to win these games, not relying on the hype.
He brought up a good point. I tell you what, hey, Raph, I tell you what, my man Harrison brought up a good point. You can't get caught up on the hype and the antics. Raph, what did you think, man? What did you think?
Pretty much the same. I thought, well, like Al Horford, I thought he played really good to start the series.
Yes.
And then once he got tired, I think he just tired out. I think a lot of it was, and that hurt. And then they found a way to defend Tatum. So that slowed him down. But the one thing I saw, probably the most important, was like Andrew Wiggins. I mean, this guy was the number 1 draft pick in the 2014 draft. And now he's probably the number 3 option on the Golden State team. I mean,
number 3.
And he took it in stride. He could have looked at, well, I'm not the number 1 player on the team, but now he's got a ring. He's making plenty of money. And I think he'll have the opportunity, I guess that was the most surprising to me. I was just like, holy cow, Andrew Wiggins is playing for Golden State. This was the number 1 pick in the draft. And he's only 29 years old.
KU?
Yep.
You know, a few things I want to say here. And obviously we're going to bring back to Nebraska, athletics. That's what we do. Coach Osborne never got too high, never got too low. And Nick, we're going to have him on here pretty quickly. Not tonight, folks. We're going to have Coach Osborne on. We're going to have him on a few weeks ago, and he was, a little scratchy voice. We told him we come back to him. Coach Osborne said something. It's even in his books. If you get a chance, catch out Coach Osborne's books. They're great reads. But he said, they asked him, Coach, how long do you celebrate a victory? How long? He goes, the moment I get off the field, I'm done thinking about it. Think about that for a second. The moment I get off the field, I'm done thinking about the game. I'm thinking about the next one. Coach Osborne never got too high. He never got too low. You think about a guy like Phil Jackson. You think about a guy like Pat Riley. You think about a guy like Steve Kerr. You think about a guy like, I can go on the other championship coaches. Popovich. Oh, same way. Popovich, another great
Bill Belichick, no emotion.
Absolutely. And I would even say this, Tyronn Lue, one of our own.
Yeah.
T. Lue was coaching a bunch of mega stars, but yet you see the arms folded across. And he never got too high, never got too low. Because something that Coach Osborne would always say, you're never as good as what they say you are, and you're never as bad as what they say you are either. So you have to have a very short memory when it comes to their saying how great you are, short memory. Oh, you guys are terrible, short memory. Because you're never the extreme of either one. You got to keep an even keel. And I think that's why Steve Kerr's guys responded the way they did, because they were with their backs against the wall. Because they lose that game in Boston, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. They don't only just win in Boston. They come back when at home. Then they go back to Boston and win in Boston, which was huge. You go to Beantown and beat those guys in that arena to seal the deal was huge. And not only that, man, you're talking a 3-hour time zone difference. Now it goes both ways. I get that too. But Steve Kerr just kind of had that coaching acumen about him and just that steadfastness. Like, you know what? We're not as bad as what people say. We're not playing as bad. We're not as good as what people are saying we are. We're going to be steadfast and just get this game done. And Harrison, you mentioned this. I wrote this down. Antics of emotion. And I even think about, like I said, how Coach Osborne did that. And maybe some who may disagree, and that's okay too. Coach Solich coached the same way. Never got too high, never got too low. And people say what they want. He went to Ohio and did a heck of a job there for a number of years, winning his coach in that conference. What is the MAC conference out there?
Yeah, MAC.
The MAC conference. Coach Solich did a heck of a job out there. And I'm biased. He had my first job as a kid when I was about 11 years old as well. But they always they carried those same characteristics of being successful as coaches in doing that. Folks, we're going to take a quick break here. We're going to come back and talk about Nebraska's schedule. We'll talk about who Nebraska will play in their second game of the year. You'll be back here on a 93.7 with Riffin with Raff and AD. We'll be right back.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric ensures our home and office HVAC systems run smoothly throughout the year to provide maximum comfort and convenience. Routine maintenance reduced our operating costs just by improving the efficiency of our unit. Consider a maintenance agreement to ensure you too receive priority for services and scheduling. This helps meet manufacturer warranty requirements. Action delivers honest quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
You know you want that smoky, tangy, sweet, and spicy sauced and tossed Wingstop. But you just brought a haul of groceries home from the store. It's cool. No one expects you to shop and cook in the same day. So let the flavor experts at Wingstop hook you up with mouth-watering wings, crispy tenders and thighs, fries and sides delivered to your door. You can always cook tomorrow. That's why the fridge was invented. Get it delivered at wingstop.com.
Order your Wingstop online at 28th and Superior, 50th and O Street, and 29th and Pine Lake.
Swing for the fences with single game tickets to see Lincoln's best lineup on and off the diamond. The Salt Dog season is stacked with reasons to spend your summer at Haymarket Park. Get a free general admission ticket when you donate 3 non-perishable food items on Triple Play Tuesdays. Eat $2 Fairbury brand dogs on Wiener Wednesdays. Score drink specials on Thirsty Thursdays. Then win your weekend with Firework Fridays, Souvenir Saturdays, and Sunday Family Fun Days presented by Casey's. Get tickets at saltdogs.com.
Bagels and Joe is in full summer mode. They'll add cold foam to the top of any iced coffee. Plus, they now have a Joe Coffee Club. Get unlimited drip coffee for just $8.95 per month. And don't forget their delicious breakfast burritos and sandwiches. Bagels and Joe, 4 Lincoln locations.
You know that feeling after a good, hearty meal? The worries of the world just slip away. Time slows down. Nothing but good times and good company. That's what you get with Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Mary Ellen's does food right, with a menu that includes smoked wings, pulled pork, brisket, catfish. And don't sleep on their sides, shrimp and grits, collard greens, baked beans. It's food that makes your heart happy. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul, just east of 27th and Pine Lake. Let them fix you a plate.
Pillar Restaurant Group is proud to announce the full opening of our brick-and-mortar venue-at-home store, Lincoln's new premier specialty grocers. This store is home to our brand new Butchery by Venue. Get the finest Nebraska steaks, hand-cut in-house by our butcher, prepared for our restaurants, and available for you to take home. With hand-selected specialty seafood, charcuterie, wine, bourbon, and liquor options. Come in today to see what we have to offer at 70th and Pioneers in the Pioneer Woods Shopping Center. Open from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., Monday through Saturday.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
We stand on the shoulders of women who came before us.
Women who fought for their own financial futures.
And now it's our turn.
Join us. Visit WeSaySaveIt.org and take control of your financial future by saving for retirement.
A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Now back to Riffin with Raff and AD on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, we're back again. Riffin with Raff and AD, Wednesday night, quickest 2 hours of the week. All right, AD, here's your chance. What do we know about the North Dakota Fighting Hawks football team?
You know what, man? Honestly, it was kind of tough to even find some things. Every time I was going to look at North Dakota, it would bring up North Dakota State. I mean, the Bison. I'm just like, no, I'm trying to find about North Dakota. But I did some research. I was on the airplane just kind of looking at some stuff up there. And think about North Dakota. They were 5-6 last year. Kind of here's their schedule this year. So 5-6 last season. They got a lot of motivation for this season, obviously coming up. Make a run at what they call the MVFC championship. Is what theirs is. Missouri Valley Football Championship is what theirs is. And they start off their season September 3rd, obviously away. Their first game is against us. So they play us on September 3rd. And then on the 10th, they go to Northern Iowa, which, is no joke to play at. They go away to Northern Arizona. And they're away again to Southern Illinois. On October 1st, they got Missouri State. And then October 8th, Youngstown State. That's Pelini country, which obviously is not the coach there. But, that's Pelini country. Youngstown State is historically a very blue-collar, hitch in the face, hitch in the mouth type team. And then they follow up on the 22nd with South Dakota State, which, the Jackrabbits are no joke. Then they got their home game. They got right here on their schedule WAC or ASUN team, so that's kind of being determined still. And then on the 5th, they got Indiana State away. At home, they got South Dakota. And then away, which will be a huge game against their rival, North Dakota State, which would be a big one. So their schedule, they got 11 games, one FBS game, 2 non-conference games on FCS, and 5 home games. It's going to be tough for them, man. I mean, what I mean by tough, they've got a loaded schedule for their big game. And think about this, y'all. They will get $515,000 from us to come to Nebraska. Now, to Nebraska, that's like pennies on the. I'm like, oh, $515. That's parking garage money. You got your meter money here. But, to a school, and it's no knock against North Dakota, but obviously we're a lot bigger school. $515,000 is a lot of money. And they probably will not play in a big. In fact, I can tell you they won't. They will not. You just heard me read all the games off. They will not play on a bigger stage. They'll play against our first game. They'll play against here in Nebraska. Northern Iowa will be huge. Obviously North Dakota State because it's rival. South Dakota being a border war, but they won't. There's no of those stadiums that fit 90,000+ people in their stadiums. They will definitely have 90,000+ when they play Nebraska, and they'll get 500,000 plus 15,000 to play against us. So that'd be big. So it's going to be a big game for them. They've had some transfer portal deflections as well. So far, now obviously not over yet, but they had 7 players into the portal. That Caleb Nelson, who's one of the cornerbacks that left. Sam Robertson was a quarterback. Otis Way was their running back that left. Quinn Euler was their linebacker. At first, I was thinking about the quarterback that plays for Texas. I'm like, wait a minute, what he was doing there, But he's not there. Quentin Seguin, he was a defensive end that entered the portal. Jacob Odom was a wide receiver that entered the portal. Billy Rivera, who was a tight end, enter it. So it was almost half and half of those 7. 2 were starters. Wie Seguin. Nelson, who was their cornerback. He played extensively for them, but also played special teams, kind of minimally. But, so they lose some guys, but they pick up some guys as well. So it's Nebraska. We can't sleep on anybody, though. That's just the bottom line. Regardless of what we have talent-wise, we can't sleep on anyone. With that being said, Raff, for the ones I brought out there, what's your thoughts on North Dakota, man?
Like you said, can't sleep on them. But in my honest opinion, I would hope that come the late 3rd, 4th quarter, we got our 2nd and 3rd string team playing in there.
Yes.
I mean, that's honest. We need that to build, to get these young players repetitions and stuff like that. And I think if we can, put up some early points against them and get our young players in, get them in the game, get them some experience. This is definitely one of those games that needs to be decided early so we can get that experience.
Yeah, I agree. You let a team like this hang out long enough with you. Let's say, we punch them in the mouth early, first or second quarter, but we don't put our foot on their throat, and they're hanging around, sniffing in the third quarter. You keep giving a team with less talent, but they have less talent, but you start giving them more confidence. At the end of the day, the talent, it shouldn't, but at the end of the day, that talent it starts becoming less of a factor and becomes want to. And I always call it want to points, want to plays, want to wins. When you let a team that's inferior to you, inferior is probably a stronger word, but it's the reality. You let a team that's inferior to you as far as talent-wise and depth-wise, if you let them hang in the game with you long enough, you begin to give them a lot of want to. Like, wait a minute. You start giving a lot of confidence. Wait a minute, I can beat this team. We can hang with these guys. That is a dangerous team who has nothing to lose. That is a very dangerous team that has nothing to lose. So to your point, Raff, I would hope, and I'm going to say this, I would hope within the first two series of the third quarter, I'm going to bring it this way. I would hope in the middle of the second quarter, towards the end of halftime, 2 minutes left, the game's decided.
Yeah.
If not on the scoreboard necessarily, physically, I would hope the game is done. To where those guys are saying, I can't wait till halftime because I am getting the smoke beat out of me right now.
And it's crucial for Nebraska's mental state too.
Yes.
Because there's going to be a little bit of last year that's going to creep into this year. I mean, I know every team is different, but that would go far in. Say we get a convincing win against Northwestern, we come out against North Dakota, we get a convincing win against them. Well, those ghosts from last year are going to start to dissipate, and they're going to be pushed back. And the more mentally strong Nebraska gets, the better they will get.
Raff, you just said a key word that I like: the ghosts of 2021. Harrison, what'd you think about that, man?
There's a lot of ghosts out there in 2021.
Yeah, there's a lot of ghosts. You think about, Raff, what you said, the ghosts. And you know what, man? And I'm bringing this back to, and Raff, you know this. Whole number, is it 12 for me at Pioneers? Where I go to the left all the time?
I'm mentally visualizing it. I've been in North Platte for so long, I forgot the Lincoln golf
10,
courses.
11. It is 12.
Yep.
It's 12.
Oh, yeah, 12 by the
it's
trees.
12. It's 12. If you never played Pioneers Golf Course, which is a great course, by the way, I'm kind of like a shameless plug for Pioneers Golf Course. But if you ever played Pioneers Golf Course, there's hole number 12 on the left-hand side. I'm not sure how far. It ain't far because I'm not far off the box. There's these trees. And those trees, when I go up to the hole, I'm already thinking, AD, don't put it on the left in the trees. Those are the ghosts. Because I've done it so many times, I'm already thinking about it, sometimes on hole 11. So you bring this back to the Huskers right now. And I've been hearing this all over the country. I was just, folks, I was just down. I was speaking in Orange Beach, Alabama. So all I heard was Roll Tide and War Eagle. So Roll Tide, obviously, you're Alabama fans. War Eagle, you're Auburn fans. And you're thinking that's so cool about it, though, Raff and Harrison. There are so many of those fans say college football is good when Nebraska's good. I mean, there was no, it was finally jarring around, but none of those folks were like disparaging, like, you guys suck. What's up in Nebraska? Frost. No. Those folks were like, look, we need Nebraska to be good again because it's good for college football. They respect Nebraska. And I heard this, from numerous people, even when I was in the airport in Charlotte on my way down there. I was in the Charlotte airport. I was eating at a restaurant, and a guy asked, he goes, where are you from? I said, Nebraska. He goes, Nebraska football. And I didn't have my championship ring on. I keep it in my bag when I'm traveling because I don't want to answer a lot of the questions because people always ask about the ring. When I'm rolling, I like to be incognito. Rav knows I use another word at times, but we're on the radio. I like to be incognito. I don't want to answer a lot of questions. So we were talking about Nebraska football. And this guy's a North Carolina grad. He goes, man, the college football is better when Nebraska's better. So around the country where I'm at, people want Nebraska to be better and to be competitive. But to bring it back to your point, Raff, we have to exercise the demons. Because I'm sick of hearing, yes, they were the best one-loss record team in the country. Dadgummit, in the words of Coach Osborne, I'm tired of hearing we were the best one-loss, and they are too. Because here's the reality. As much as we as fans, and I'm a fan now. I'm not a player anymore. I'm a fan. I'm an old guy. None of us feel as bad as those players do right now and those coaches. So anytime in the text line, and again, we'll mention that if you got questions for our last segment, you can give us a call at 402-464 5685 on the Honda of Lincoln hotline or the Starter Heyman text line 42464-5685. None of you listening, me included, Raff included, Harrison included, former players included, Monty, God bless my big brother. None of us feel as bad as the current players on that roster. So it blows me away at times when they call in, and that's great. You have that right. But I promise you, none of you feel as bad as they do right now. And then last year when they played. Now, I'm not saying right now because they're busting their tails off to right the ship and get things figured out. They're kind of riding the ship to get things figured out. None of us feel as bad as they do, but there are ghosts that are there. It's human. It's just human nature. And when you find yourself in a precarious position where the time before you kind of blew it, you're thinking, "Oh crap, we can't do this again." Harrison, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. I mean, you referring to the Ghosts were, active in the 2021 season. It was the last game versus the Hawkeyes.
Oh.
I think it was a blocked punt and they scooped it up and scored. And you could just see it on the sideline. It was just like, here come the demons, and everyone just felt it and the game started slipping away. So, I mean, they were already there at the end of the season. It's going to be big for these guys to kind of step out right away, shake that off, and just get some momentum, especially building up to that huge Oklahoma game.
Yeah.
You're going to want some momentum going into that.
Harrison, you're spot on. That momentum, you think about it. We got Northwestern, we got Georgia Southern, OU third, right?
OU 4. North Dakota, Georgia Southern,
yes.
OU.
Raff, thoughts on the ghost, man? What do you think about the ghost, brother? How do we exorcise the ghost? How do we exorcise the demons? How do we do kind of an exorcism to get rid of the ghost? If you're the coach, Raff, you've coached at the semi-level, the college level, how would you as a coach right now coach these guys to basically, I'm not saying you disregard 2021 because you can't, because there's always lessons in losses. There's always lessons in losses. There's always lessons that you learn from pain. What would be the lessons that you would teach them if you're the head coach at Nebraska right now, or just a coach anywhere, and you had a season like Nebraska last year where people keep referring to you as the best one score loss team in the country? How would you reprogram, control, alt, delete the mental psychology of your team? How would you do that?
For the North Dakota game, I would
the whole season.
Well, I'm just saying for North Dakota game, I would coach them. I wouldn't let it get outside the doors in a press conference or anything like that. But I'd be coaching the team to we're gonna blow the doors off these guys.
Uh-huh.
I would coach them like that. Like, hey, we're winning by 50.
I love it.
I wouldn't let it become bulletin board material for North Dakota. I would never say that to them or say it to a newspaper. But inside the doors of the locker room, I would be coaching them as if, hey, we're getting our second, third, fourth string in this game. But the problem with that is when you coach like that, you've got to beware of the next week, because say we beat North Dakota by 40 or 50 and we beat them convincingly, then you've got to keep your feet on the ground, because you've got to let your team know, hey, like you said, like Coach Osborne said, you're not as good as you think you are. You're not as bad as you think you are. So you've got to let your team know, like, hey, good win, but hey, we're not where we want to be.
That's right.
And you've got to keep that even kill, but against the teams that you should beat convincingly, do it. You have the talent, you have the players, you have the coaches, go out and do it. But you've got to say, hey, the celebration should be like maybe 24 hours, if that, against North Dakota. Maybe go out and celebrate that night, the victory. But come that next day, it's got to be, all right, we're on to the next week. It was a good win. We got some good experience for our players. Let's go out and get another W. Keep on patching them together. But it's just a matter of staying even kill, keeping, just the mentality of the team. That was the one thing last year for Nebraska that I thought they could have probably won every game except for maybe one, and it was just the mentality, like the Michigan State game. The defense shuts them out the entire second half, but just that one mental lapse cost us the game on the punt return.
Yep.
Michigan. Martinez goes in. He might have been down, might not have been down, let go of the ball. That one mental lapse, probably cost Nebraska the game.
Yep.
And you can go through it game after game after game. And it's not
Oklahoma starting the game off with 4 penalties.
Yeah, it's not a talent gap. Like if you've asked me 3, 4, 5 years ago, it was a talent gap. We were getting beat because we didn't have good enough players to compete with the best teams in the country. Am I saying that we're one of the best teams in the country? No, but what I am saying is we have the talent to compete with the best teams in the country.
Absolutely.
It's just a matter of how mentally strong are we going to be.
You bet. Raff, you mentioned the penalties we had in crucial parts of the games. And I wrote this down. Chaos often comes before culture change. Chaos often comes before culture change. Transfer portals, NIL, things of that nature, getting the right fit. We're going to come to that in our last segment. Chaos comes before culture change. You're with Riffin with Raff and AD. 93.7 The Ticket. We'll be right back.
Pillar Restaurant Group is proud to announce the full opening of our brick-and-mortar venue-at-home store, Lincoln's new premier specialty grocers. This store is home to our brand new Butchery by Venue. Get the finest Nebraska steaks, hand-cut in-house by our butcher, prepared for our restaurants, and available for you to take home. With hand-selected specialty seafood, charcuterie, wine, bourbon, and liquor options. Come in today to see what we have to offer at 70th and Pioneers in the Pioneer Woods Shopping Center. Open from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., Monday through Saturday.
Please enjoy these next few moments of relaxation from Scott and Greg at Mendoza Family Insurance. If you would like to feel this relaxed about your home, auto, business, life, or commercial property insurance, please give Scott or Greg a call today at Mendoza Family Insurance.
Spring is here. Are you giving your yard the best chance at being healthy and green? Call Penner Sprinkler and Lawn to get your sprinklers ready to go for the season if they haven't been working properly. They're also scheduling installs for new sprinkler systems if you don't have one. So make sure you contact them early to get a bid as soon as possible. Plus, they're your one place to go for 5-step fertilizer and pesticide application and lawn aeration. Call Penner Sprinkler and Lawn today at 402-413-1215.
Mike Schaefer here for Trek CBD. Springtime is here, and that means you're outside more in nice weather and maybe even having garage parties with neighbors. The drink of this spring and summer isn't your typical seltzer. It's drinkable Delta 8. Yep, Trek CBD has drinkable Delta 8 seltzers with mango and lime flavors for 4-packs and 12-packs, coming in a variety of mango, watermelon, lime, and berry. They also have hemp-derived Delta 9 syrups to put in your beverages, and as always, the excellent Delta 8 gums. Trek CBD, CBD done right.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com. You know that feeling after a good, hearty meal? The worries of the world just slip away. Time slows down. Nothing but good times and good company. That's what you get with Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Mary Ellen's does food right, with a menu that includes smoked wings, pulled pork, brisket, catfish. And don't sleep on their sides, shrimp and grits, collard greens, baked beans. It's food that makes your heart happy. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul, just east of 27th and Pineland. Let them fix you a plate.
This message is for Shauna, my mom who just finished her high school diploma. I wanted to say I'm so proud of you for finishing school. You taught me it's never too late to achieve your dreams. I hope to make you as proud as you have made me.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Bagels and Joe is in full summer mode. They'll add cold foam to the top of any iced coffee. Plus, they now have a Joe Coffee Club. Get unlimited drip coffee for just $8.95 per month. And don't forget their delicious breakfast burritos and sandwiches. Bagels and Joe, 4 Lincoln locations.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 330 North 48th Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Now back to Riffin with Raff and AD on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right. Oh, get it, AD. Get it.
That's because we're going up for 2.5 hours of sleep, so I'm just delirious right now.
It's only just a dream, AD.
I'm keeping it. So it's just a dream.
We are back. Riffin with Raff and AD. AD, so at break, I'm sitting here, and one of the guys that's working with me this up here in North Platte, he is a assistant football coach for the Malcolm football team.
You bet.
And he sent this to me. I'll read this for you. This is really good stuff right here. It only takes 11 guys being perfect on the same play, 10 to 15 total plays a game to win. But that's where you have to trust your teammates that they are going to work to be perfect on every play, because you never know when that's going to happen.
You gotta send that to me, man. That's powerful. That's powerful, and it's very true. You don't need 80 plays. You don't need 60. Just about a dozen, maybe a little less than a dozen, to where that's a game changer in the game. That's powerful, man. Tell them I said I appreciate that, man. Definitely text that to me, Rav, because that is so true. That is so true. Elaborate, Harrison. What do you think about that quote, man?
Yeah, he nailed it.
He nailed it.
There isn't even much to add to that. I mean, that's well said. It's perfect.
He nailed it, man. He nailed it. You know, Jay Foreman says something quite a bit. In fact, even on not the Captain Show, but Old School. But one of the commercials that Jay Foreman, former Nebraska linebacker, Husker, Nebraska Hall of Fame linebacker, NFL pro, Jay Foreman says, in the pros, they only need one guy to make a mistake on the defensive side. And the running backs don't basically hit his head on the goalpost, or the receiver who catches it, because they're going to they plan every play just for one guy to make a mistake. Now that shows you at the level of just kind of level of excellence at the pro level. All they need is one guy to make a mistake. They don't need even three, just one guy, whether it's a safety, whether it's a guard, whether it's a tackle, they need one guy to make. And if they get two guys making mistakes, it's a wrap. You need one guy to make a mistake. Now, on the contrast of that, Raph, what you mentioned, your buddy just mentioned, who's a high school coach at Malcolm, said if we can get 11 guys to do the perfect play, or even a good play, 10 to 11 times, we will win the game. And that comes with mindset and discipline. Raph, remember we had Dave Remington on the show.
Yep.
He says we couldn't even think about make a mistake. That just wasn't in our mental Rolodex. You think about Big Will Washington. Again, a big shout out to Big Husker brother, former tight end. Birthday boy. Happy birthday to you, Will. Happy born day, brother. William Washington had one penalty. Think about that, fans. Most of you listening right now. He had one penalty as a tight end in his entire career at Nebraska. And that penalty was against University of Washington at Washington, and they had that crazy stadium. It was because a defensive player yelled hike, which is illegal, but the ref didn't hear it. He yelled hike. That's when Will Washington jumped off. Other than that, he never had a penalty in 4 years. Think about that. Against Oklahoma last year, we had 4 penalties in the first drive before the ball was snapped. So you think about that. I got to sneeze, man.
Achoo.
Penalties make me sneeze. And it's not a knock. It's not a knock. It just shows you the amount of discipline that it takes to play at a very high level. And like I was saying before the break, chaos comes before culture. and meaning that there's going to be some chaotic things that happen. You enter the NIL right now, you enter the transfer portal, coaching change, etc. And you even think about the chaos. Think about this. Nebraska was not immune from this back in the 90s either, when Miami's and the Florida States and the Georgia Techs were whooping our tails in those bowl games. And Coach Osborne made those tweaks. We had Coach Samuel and Coach Darlington talk about. They made some changes. They went from a 5-2 to a 4-3 and sometimes back to a 5-2, but they began to recruit differently, meaning chaos. There was change. There was like Ed Stewart, former Nebraska All-American linebacker that played free safety when he came here, and Coach McBride telling him, hey, you're going to play linebacker. The heck I am. I came here to play free safety. He goes, son, I'll make you an All-American. Makes him All-American. But there was some chaos. There was some friction there. He didn't want to do that. You got to go on and on about the number of guys who made changes, some chaos, in order to establish culture. Graff, what would you say about the chaos before culture was established during those championship years, and how we can establish that again?
Oh, man, thinking back to it, it was just – in my, looking back on it, they always say maybe one man can make a difference. And I just think that one guy for Nebraska, I don't know who it'll be, but I think one person can be that leader. I think after, we changed our defense, we went to the 4-3, but our Daubers were down after that Georgia Tech game in 91.
Yes, they were.
But then this number 15 guy steps on campus. And like he always says, he wasn't the most popular because he demanded the best out of each and every player. A lot of people really didn't care much for him, probably his own teammates, because he was so hard on them. But he knew at the end of the day, by being that way, it was going to lead to championships.
Right.
So I think now for it to happen again at Nebraska, there might have to be maybe a quarterback, maybe a Casey Thompson, maybe somebody that we recruited for next year that comes in is that guy that's like, hey, I'm not taking no crap. I'm going to come out. I'm going to be hard on you guys. But at the end of the day, it'll all be worth it because we'll be back to, winning a lot of football games.
You know what, Raff, you bring a good point with, and I'll say this real quick with Casey Thompson. Casey Thompson came in right away and set a precedent for how he's going to lead. First one in the locker room, first one in the weight room, last one in there. I'm just saying we're going to win at Nebraska. We're going to win. We're going to change things around. And I love that moxie. I love that pedigree. I love that DNA. Folks, Raff, I'll let you wrap it up, man.
Well, another thing I'll just say is it'd be great to see a quarterback with Oklahoma lineage lead Nebraska back to the promised land.
I love
it. Thanks again to Monty for joining us tonight. Another great show, and we will see you guys all again next week on Riffin with Raff and AD on 93.7, The Ticket.
Pillar Restaurant Group is proud to